What is the ecumenical movement? Different churches will give a different answer. The evangelical and Protestant view of ecumenism would constitute the coming together of differing denominations in a unity in diversity for the sake of a more effective witness and gospel proclamation, citing John chapter 17 as the text for a visible union of differing church traditions. Within this evangelical view, it is permissible to yoke and unite with the Roman Catholic Church, and this they indeed do in social work, prayer endeavours, outreach, worship, and so on. But what is the Roman Catholic perspective and view upon ecumenism? Friends, it is very different. Let us hear Rome's words upon this issue. The restoration of unity among all Christians is one of the principal concerns of the Second Vatican Council. So says Rome in her 1964 declaration Unitatis Redintegratio. What could possibly be wrong with that, some may say? Well, Rome also makes it abundantly clear at the Second Vatican Council, from which the above declaration sprang, that she sees herself as the true church under whom all professing churches and believers are to unite. That is Rome's definition of unity and ecumenism, all persons being gathered around Rome's Eucharist and submitted under her Pope. Rome desires to overthrow the structural and doctrinal differences of other denominations and bring all under her wings, and asserts that persons within other denominations need to come back under the Roman Catholic system in order to benefit fully from the means of salvation that she claims to administer. This is what the Roman Catholic Church calls the fullness of unity, and she encourages her followers to engage in this ecumenical drive to bring all of professing Christendom under her authority. The Sacred Council exhorts all the Catholic faithful to recognise the signs of the times and to take an active and intelligent part in the work of ecumenism. Rome boasts, when the obstacles to perfect ecclesiastical communion have been gradually overcome, all Christians will at last, in a common celebration of the Eucharist, be gathered into the one and only Church in that unity which Christ bestowed on his Church from the beginning. We believe that this unity subsists in the Catholic Church as something she can never lose, and we hope that it will continue to increase until the end of time. This is Rome's ecumenical abomination that evangelicals are being led into by evangelical false teachers. In studying the official declarations of the Second Vatican Council of the 1960s, we see that the Roman Catholic Church instructed her followers during that council to effectively flatter other denominations by avoiding contentious language when engaging ecumenically with them, and to participate in dialogue with non-Roman Catholic denominations, whilst remaining true to Roman Catholic fundamentals. The Vatican instructs that any renewal within the Roman Catholic Church does not involve fundamental changes to her claimed deposit of faith, the exhortation being that true ecumenism for Rome involves guarding against a compromising unity in which the purity of Catholic doctrine suffers loss. Instead, Rome insists that her ecumenical action must be fully and sincerely Catholic, that is to say, faithful to the truth which we have received from the apostles and fathers of the Church, in harmony with the faith which the Catholic Church has always professed. That faith includes the physical persecution and extermination of nonconformists. The Roman Catholic Church also advocates her subjects to participate in joint prayer initiatives in furthering this ecumenical Back to Rome movement, as well as joint social action schemes. So make no mistake about it, my friends, the Roman Catholic Church has a menacing perspective of the ecumenical movement and views ecumenism as a means of breaking down obstacles and gradually bringing all churches back into her bosom and under her authority. And within this movement, Rome will not compromise concerning her doctrine, but expects all others to do so and to submit to her. This is the ecumenical movement that Nicky Gumbel and a host of UK leaders are pushing forwards, inadvertently or otherwise, working alongside Rome towards an inevitable deceptive end. If any UK believer thinks that Rome is on board with a unity in diversity ecumenism, they are gravely mistaken. Unity for Rome is a unity of faith, a unity of doctrine, her false faith and false doctrine, which must be submitted to. And concerning this issue of ecumenism, I desire to highlight what Rome stated at Vatican II, specifically concerning joint prayer initiatives and Roman Catholics involving themselves with ecumenism intelligently. It is thoroughly consistent with Rome to deceive and infiltrate in order to meet her wicked ends, and there will inevitably be closet stealth Romanists within UK evangelical leadership positions initiating ecumenical prayer, evangelistic and worship movements designed to break down hostility towards Rome and gender affection towards Rome instead by working with them for common causes. Consider the following example: statements made by Pete Greig, the deluded heretic, leader within the 24/7 prayer movement. In this 2016 interview with the Church Times, the dangerous Pete Greig had no problem expressing the ecumenical nature of the worldwide prayer movement that he represents. Pete states, "We're working with everyone, from the Salvation Army in Australia to the Catholic Church in Austria." He states also, "I had a pizza with the Catholic author Brennan Manning soon after the start of the 24/7 movement." And then Pete goes on to state how he gained instruction in prayer from that Romanist author. Describing the 15th anniversary of the 24/7 prayer movement, Pete Greig related in the interview just how Roman Catholic the celebrations were. There were Catholic nuns, Salvation Army officers punching the air, big bearded Orthodox priests, and hipsters with even bigger beards. It was fantastic. Pope Francis and Archbishop Justin both sent personal greetings. Popular pastor and worship leader Tim Hughes also performed at that 2015 event and now leads Gas Street Church in Birmingham. It is possible that these leaders are deceived, babes in Christ, misusing and misunderstanding John chapter 17's unity as being a visible denominational unity in diversity, which they strive for, but which John 17 is obviously not about, and which Rome clearly abhors. And it is entirely possible also that there are Roman Catholics in disguise within the ranks of evangelicalism, initiating the Back to Rome movement by softening hearts towards Rome. Influential leadership, greatly affecting the UK Christian scene today, are all pro-Roman Catholics, such as Nicky Gumbel and Justin Welby, Tim Hughes, Pete Greig, the now fallen Mike Pilavachi, Matt Redman, Agu Iraku, Paula Gooder, Nick Drake, Ellie Mumford, John and Debbie Wright, and these people are leading the UK into treacherous waters. Brothers and sisters, do not let anybody deceive you regarding the ecumenical movement. The Roman Catholic Church is not interested in compromise or in a unity in diversity, a unity where each denomination is allowed to keep its own doctrinal distinctives. No, Rome desires the subjugation of all believers under her papacy, Eucharist and doctrine. Rome cannot currently use force to do this, as in centuries past, but she does use satanic subtlety today, such as the removal of biblical authority through false Bible versions and the false textual principles underlying them, or through lying signs and wonders, the helping along of the decline of evangelicalism and its historic opposition to Rome. Beware of the ecumenical movement. Rome's end goal is absorption into Romanism, and tragically many souls dabbling with the ecumenical movement have been seduced by Rome and become sympathetic to Romanism, even embracing such as a legitimate church. This is part of the process of gradualism, which Rome outlined at Vatican II, when the obstacles to perfect ecclesiastical communion have been gradually overcome. And this gradual wearing down of opposition against Rome and portrayal of Rome in a positive light by evangelical leaders has prepared the ground for great deception, whereby vast numbers here in the UK would be deceived should miracles flow from Rome, whether it be Eucharistic miracles, Marian manifestations, or monkish signs and wonders, lying exhibitions which may soon find their place in end times deception. The Roman Catholic Church has a plan, and evangelicalism is falling for it. Now is the time to warn souls afresh regarding who Rome really is, revealing the true face of Jezebel, though she paint it much in order to seduce and deceive the world concerning her true nature and intention. Beware of the ecumenical movement, a movement which essentially is a Roman Catholic takeover by stealth.